The city of Luminar stretched across the coast like a jewel of steel and glass. At night, its skyline shimmered, reflecting in the ocean as if two worlds lived side by side. By day, traffic and chatter filled the air. But by night, fear crept through the alleys. Whispers of crime lords, shadowy organizations, and silent killers haunted its citizens. In this chaos, a legend began to rise. That legend was not born in a lab, nor blessed by the heavens. It was forged from pain, sacrifice, and a relentless pursuit of justice. His name was Kill Ardent. Few knew that name, but many knew the mask he wore, the Rouf. Kill had once been an ordinary man, a detective in Luminar's police force. He was sharp, methodical, and stubborn to a fault. But corruption plagued the department. His colleagues turned their eyes away from crime in exchange for envelopes of cash. Kill refused. That refusal earned him enemies. One night, after raiding a warehouse linked to the syndicate, a crime network led by the elusive Magnus Veiler, Kill found his home in flames. His wife, Ilara, and young son, Damien, were inside. By the time he reached them, the smoke had swallowed everything. He was too late. Grief consumed him. His badge meant nothing anymore. Justice had failed him. But vengeance whispered another path. Kill vanished for years. Rumors said he died, others claimed he left the city. In truth, he trained in forgotten corners of the world. He studied combat from monks in the Himalayas, learned stealth from mercenaries in the deserts, absorbed technology from hackers in hidden bunkers. Each skill he honed was another weapon for the arsenal of his future self. He returned, cloaked in darkness, wearing armor crafted from experimental alloys. His mask bore no eyes, only two glowing streaks like burning coals. He became the Wraith, the shadow of Luminar. The first night of his return, whispers spread across the underworld. Criminals vanished without a trace. Weapons shipments burned before they reached the docks. Gangs found their leaders strung up in warehouses with their own chains. Fear spread faster than bullets. But Kill was not alone in his new war. A young reporter, Mira Solon, began to follow the trail of his actions. Mira was fierce, determined, and far too curious for her own safety. Her articles in the Luminar Times hinted at a shadow protector. She called him the Phantom Guardian. Kill read her words from rooftops and almost allowed himself to feel human again. Almost. But justice was not a lone road. A hacker named Lian, known only by the alias Ghostwire, reached out to him. Lian had once worked for the syndicate before betraying them. He now sought redemption by feeding Kill intelligence. Through encrypted signals, he became the unseen eyes of the Rouf. Together, they began dismantling the syndicate piece by piece. But Magnus Veiler was not a man to underestimate. Veiler was a visionary criminal, elegant in speech, ruthless in execution. He had politicians in his pocket, generals in his debt, and assassins at his call. His empire thrived on drugs, weapons, and secrets. And above all, he hated betrayal. When his operations began crumbling, he knew someone new had entered the game. His men called it bad luck. Veiler called it war. He summoned his elite enforcer, a brutal figure named Dreadfang. Dreadfang was once a prizefighter, his body enhanced with cybernetic implants after an accident in the arena. Now, He was a weapon wrapped in scars and steel. "Find the shadow," Valor ordered, "and drag him into the light." The clash came sooner than Kale expected. One night, while sabotaging a syndicate convoy, Dreadfang appeared. The fight shook the docks. Kale's strikes were precise, fast. But Dreadfang absorbed them like a wall of iron. Every blow Dreadfang landed rattled Kale's bones. For the first time, the Wraith tasted defeat. He barely escaped, injured and breathless. The city whispered, was the Shadow Protector already broken? Kale refused to give in. With Lian's help, he reinforced his armor, adapting it to absorb shock. He studied Dreadfang's combat footage, learning patterns. But beyond vengeance, he began seeing something else. Myra's articles inspired citizens. Vigilantes in neighborhoods began patrolling their streets. Ordinary people started resisting the syndicate. Kale realized he was more than just vengeance, he was a symbol. When Dreadfang attacked again, this time in a crowded metro station, Kale was ready. Their duel spilled across train cars, sparks flying with each strike. Civilians fled. But Mira stayed, capturing every moment on her camera. Kale used the environment, slamming Dreadfang into electrified rails. The enforcer screamed as sparks tore through his implants. Kale stood victorious, battered but unbroken. The syndicate had lost its fangs. Magnus Valor watched from his penthouse, sipping wine. His lips curled into a smile. So the ghost breathes fire, he mused. But Valor had other plans. Plans that reached far beyond Luminar. Days turned into weeks. And the Wraith's legend grew. Yet Kale felt the weight of his past heavier than ever. One night, Mira confronted him on a rooftop. "You hide in shadows. But you give people hope," she said. "Don't run from the world forever." Kale wanted to tell her everything, his pain, his guilt. But silence was safer. He turned away, vanishing into the dark. Meanwhile, Valor unleashed a new weapon, the Eclipse Protocol. It was a device capable of shutting down Luminar's entire power grid. Without light, the city would descend into chaos, ripe for syndicate control. Kale and Lian raced against time to stop it. They traced the signal to a hidden facility beneath the old industrial district. The facility was a labyrinth of traps. Armed drones patrolled the corridors. Kale fought like a storm, dismantling them with precision. But as he reached the core chamber, Magnus Valor awaited. Unlike his men, Valor was calm, unarmed, dressed in an immaculate suit. "You've cost me millions," Valor said, voice smooth as glass. "But money is replaceable. Time is not." With a gesture, he activated the Eclipse Protocol. The city above flickered, then plunged into darkness. Sirens wailed, people screamed, fires erupted. Luminar was blind. Kale lunged. But Valor was prepared. Hidden panels revealed automated turrets, forcing Kale into cover. Valor escaped through a concealed elevator, smiling as chaos reigned. Kale destroyed the core. But the damage was done. Luminar had fallen into a night without stars. In the days that followed, crime surged. Looters roamed free, syndicate soldiers ruled blocks. And fear suffocated the streets. Yet amidst the darkness, citizens lit candles in their windows. They painted wraith symbols on walls. Hope still breathed. Kale regrouped with Mira and Lien. Together, they rallied small groups of fighters, civilians, ex-soldiers, even reformed criminals. They called themselves the Vigil. Their mission: take back Luminar street by street. Battles erupted across the city. The Vigil fought syndicate forces in alleys, rooftops, and subways. Mira broadcast their victories through pirate radio. Lien disrupted syndicate comms, turning their weapons against them. Kale led from the shadows, striking like a phantom general. Finally, the war narrowed to its heart, Valor's Tower. It rose above the darkened city like a beacon of tyranny. The Vigil stormed its lower levels, while Kale ascended alone. He faced mercenaries, assassins, and traps designed to break him. But nothing compared to the final confrontation. At the top, in a glass chamber overlooking the burning city, Magnus Valor waited. "You are impressive," Valor admitted. "But you are still just a man chasing ghosts." Kale answered only with silence. Their duel was not of fists, but of wills. Valor fought with blades hidden in his cane, striking with serpent speed. Kale countered with relentless precision. Glass shattered, fire raged below, and every strike echoed like thunder. At last, Kale disarmed him, pinning him against the window. "This city belongs to its people," Kale growled. Valor only smiled. "And people forget. Shadows fade." Kale knocked him unconscious, ending the war. The Vigil restored power to Luminar. Lights returned. And with them, hope blazed brighter than ever. Citizens cheered, children painted murals of the Wraith, and Myra's articles became legends. But Kale did not stay to celebrate. He knew evil never truly died. He watched from a rooftop as dawn broke. For the first time in years, he saw the sunrise. It did not heal him, but it reminded him why he fought. In the shadows, the Wraith remained. Not as vengeance, not as despair, but as a guardian. Luminar's guardian. Yet peace was fragile. Far beyond the city, whispers of new threats stirred. Enemies who had watched Luminar's war from afar. Enemies who now saw the Wraith not as a local legend, but as a global threat. And so, another tale was waiting to be written. But that tale was for another night.